is Caitlin.
I'm Angelique.
I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Rishi.
And now, starting with our presentation, we would like to start with talking about the overview of the organism. So this is a vector-borne virus. It originates mainly in the mosquitoes in the United States in the Ku Klux pippins. The main reservoir is birds, and it originated in the West Nile region in Uganda in 1937. It has a zoonotic origin, and it's likely from an avian host. And it's similar to the dengue fever virus with the flavivirus flaviridae. It has a positive sense single-stranded RNA virus, and the transmission includes vector-borne, blood transfusions, lab exposure, and mother-to-baby options, such as breast milk or placenta. Most people infected are asymptomatic, and that's roughly 80%. And looking at the overview of the disease as well, those that are symptomatic experience mild infections or symptoms such as fevers and headaches. The 1% that are affected also are susceptible to obtaining West Nile encephalitis, West Nile poliomyelitis, West Nile meningitis. But there is no effective prophylactic vaccine or antiviral therapy. There are, however, several horse vaccines available. Some risk factors can include a suppressed immune system and a genetic predisposition.
So the emergence of West Nile virus. It was first isolated from a patient's blood in Uganda around 1973, and then from there on until about 1999, it spread throughout the rest of Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe. And during this time period, it was mainly occurring in horses, not so much in humans. In 1999, it was first seen in North America. It had occurred in New York City, and the infection could have occurred either through an infected bird, human, or mosquito. And then from 1999 to the present, it has continued spreading throughout the USA, Mexico, Canada, and the Caribbean. And the spread is also increasing into Latin America as well. So the epidemiology of West Nile virus. There have been about 12,000 cases of West Nile virus meningitis encephalitis as of 2010 in the US, and also 1,100 human fatalities. It's found in the US, Africa, parts of Europe, the Middle East, Western Asia, Australia, and now South America as well. It causes a high mortality in birds, mainly crows, and the host is humans, and some factors that can affect host susceptibility to West Nile virus includes whether or not individuals are immunocompromised, and individuals living in lower and middle income countries are more susceptible. The agent is obviously biological, and some factors that affect it are the possibility of antigenic drift or shift. As far as the environment goes, there is seasonal emergence because it's a vector-borne virus in countries with temperate zones. So that usually occurs from about July through October. And areas with lots of standing water are also susceptible.
Okay, so the first major outbreak that I'm going to talk to you about was in southeastern Romania, in Bucharest, in the summer of 1996. And this primarily infected humans. West Nile encephalitis and meningitis was observed. 339 were hospitalized, and there were 17 deaths. The first outbreak of the virus was centered predominantly in an urban area in the city of Bucharest, and the population in and around the city was very susceptible to the virus. The virus was mainly able to spread due to deteriorated urban infrastructure, the absence of protective barriers such as screens and windows, and also because of a very large susceptible avian population. And this outbreak ended spontaneously early in the fall of 1996. So the second major outbreak was in New York City in 1999, and this occurred in humans and animals. This was the first time the virus had ever entered the United States. This was a particular hot summer, so there were a lot of people who slept outside, collected water bins for plants, and allowed their swimming pools to become polluted. And this has kind of contributed to the spread of the virus throughout the boroughs in New York City. There were drunken cows and crow deaths observed around the city. There was also an outbreak of equine encephalitis in horses in Long Island, New Jersey, which was later identified as West Nile virus. There was illness and death observed in Chilean flamingos and snowy owl in the Bronx Zoo. And then, as this was occurring, there was also a cluster of human encephalitis reported by a physician in Queens, who then contacted the CDC to investigate. And from here, there was an aggressive public health intervention initiated in Queens, and new cases were also observed in other boroughs. And the intervention enlarged, obviously. There was a diagnosis of West Nile virus in both birds and humans confirmed by the CDC. And then it eventually spread all throughout the US, Mexico, Canada, and the Caribbean.
So, West Nile virus is obviously spread through mosquitoes. More mosquito bites means you have more chances of getting infections. Mosquito bites are more common during late August, September when the weather is warmer. Mosquitoes aren't as common in colder months because they can't survive in the temperatures. So some ways to prevent getting West Nile virus is to prevent getting mosquito bites. So if you keep your skin covered with long-sleeve shirts, pants, and socks, wear insect repellents, eliminate any standing water in or around your home, have screens and windows on your doors to prevent mosquitoes from entering, use mosquito netting in and around your beds and children's cribs. Again, there's no vaccine to protect against West Nile virus. There is one for horses, and research is currently being done to see if there can be one for humans. For treatment, there's no cure, and right now only supportive care is the option. You basically go to a hospital, get IV fluids, and pain medication. So public health response options. There are three types of surveillance. There's passive surveillance and case investigation, mosquito-based and bird-based. For passive surveillance, it's when cases are reported and then CDC looks and identifies clusters. For mosquito-based, people will go out and take samples of mosquitoes and see if the virus is present and in what quantities. For bird-based, birds can carry the virus, so if there is a dead bird, you should report it to your local animal control, and then someone will come see if the bird has disease, and then that area will be monitored for the next couple of months. So climate change can also affect West Nile virus. Increased temperatures means that more mosquitoes can be active, and that can increase the prevalence of the disease. Flooding and extreme weather patterns can also increase the occurrence of infectious diseases like West Nile virus.